Hello and welcome on in. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the number one tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I am Nigel Seeley. Joining me as per usual on a Tuesday afternoon is our senior ATP Tour handicapper. It is Sean Calvert. Sean, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. It's a hot one, isn't it? It's insanely hot, in fact.
Well, I mean, we always talk about the weather, don't we? We talk about the weather, we talk about our health, we talk about various issues, but it is hot, but it's a different kind of heat compared to what we've had in the last week. You know, we're confined in this office.
Yeah, I don't mind it in Croatia next to the sea, you know, and you can just pop yourself in the sea and cool yourself down, have a bit of a swim. It's a bit different here when there's all sorts going on. Lagan's done his knee in at football, so I've had to get someone to come in and pick him up and take him to the doctors. So yeah, it's not the same. It's never fun, is it? The heat when you're at home and you've got like a load of random stuff to do, like, you know, chores and that, and it's hot. It's not the same. And obviously, you must be exhausted after what happened to you yesterday.
Well, the first thing I do is I apologise for any of my laughing or any of my piss taking of your delay, which I didn't really mean to do. I wasn't really pissed. I was sort of like going, oh no, Sean, but. And then the same thing happened to me, added on another hour and a half or so. But yeah, a little bit worse. So
the same airport,
2:45 this morning.
About 48 hours later, if that. Exact same thing. Except yours wasn't a bird strike, was it? Yours was some sort of electrical fault or whatever. But it was exactly the same thing, where the plane was just sat on the runway. Well, not even on the runway, at the gate, and you could just look out, couldn't you, from that from Pula Airport at it. And you just stared at it for about 5 hours while it did absolutely nothing. That was exactly the same thing that happened to me, and it's just a slightly weird coincidence that the same thing happened to you a couple of days later, except yours was worse because it was longer, but you didn't have a kid in tow, so you know it swings and roundabouts.
Well, I mean, there was a good bar there, so we just sat in the bar.
They didn't let us in that. They obviously let you out of security. They kept us in that section by the duty-free shop for God knows how many hours, but. Yeah, it's not been the best of weeks, has it, to be honest?
Well, listen, it's been a great week. Just a little bit of a problem on the way, you know. It's life, isn't it? The thing is, you just I wouldn't like to deal with a young child. There was a lot of young children yesterday. But anyway, it's a 7-hour delay. It's not.
Lagan was great, to be honest. He did some Lego.
But I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if they happened to you. But they sent one of the most attractive Croatian girls down to the front gate to tell you all the bad news. It was absolutely stunning.
They didn't give us any news at all, attractive or unattractive. It was just texts off Ryanair. That was it. There was no actual human contact. Well, someone come down and started speaking to us, and she could have told me anything, and I would have just gone, yes, no problem. There was a couple, problem? Yeah, I think I know the one you mean, yeah. There was a couple like that, yeah.
She
didn't tell us anything. She told you something, but she didn't tell me anything, because we were on...
She didn't tell me the things I wanted to hear her telling me, but she could have told me anything she wanted, and I would have just gone, yes, no problem. You're delayed here for 22 hours. That's no problem. There's no problem. But it was very clever how they did it. Anyway, if that was coincidence or not, anyway.
Possibly.
A lot of people like this kind of comment. Like we sort of set the tone up. A lot of people dislike this comment. They want to come in for the bet. So that's what we come in for. We come in for the bets. We've also got some matches as well in the Olympics at the moment going on. One thing I've noticed about this, Musetti. I mean, you know. He's our tip to win the Olympics at 60-1.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he'd have any energy, and I thought, you know, Cerundolo as well after that. They're like, they must be the Duracell bunnies. What's going on with them two at the moment?
Well, Cerundolo should have lost to Humbert, but Humbert is Humbert, and he didn't have the guts to see it out after beating his chest when he beat Marijan. Or, you know, I'm the big man here. He was 1-7 win-loss at Roland Garros. He finally got a win against an out of sorts Marijan. And then he had a chance to beat Cerundolo, who was running on fumes and couldn't do it. But it's like I said when I talked about the Musetti bet, it could easily have gone the other way. It could have been the case that he turned up, he was just absolutely exhausted and couldn't do anything. But sometimes you just ride a wave because he's on a real good run of form at the minute. Sometimes it just depends how long you've got on that wave. You know, it seems like Musetti's got a little bit longer. He also had a little bit more fortune because Cerundolo had to come out again the next day, didn't he? He had to play sort of early afternoon. Two days in a row.
Long matches as well. Long matches. Yeah. Amazing.
Well, these guys are, you know, they're super fit. Musetti's had an extra day off more than Cerundolo did, and he's gone through today as well, you know, impressively against Navone. He plays Fritz next, who looked pretty exhausted in the heat, as did Jack Draper today. I mean, it's 35 degrees there in Paris today. There's a lot of players struggling. Jack Draper, no surprise. he's struggling in that heat, but Fritz didn't look comfortable in it either. So, we'll see how long Musetti can go. I mean, he could still ride that wave a little bit longer yet. We'll see.
Amazing. The only thing I was worried about yesterday I wasn't too worried about the delay, but talking about ailments, my back is absolutely buggered. This sciatica.
Sitting around an airport for 8 hours probably didn't help.
My knee was killing me this morning. So I'm dosed up on painkillers. If I fall asleep during this podcast, it's nothing to do with the fact that Sean is boring me or anything like that. It's the fact that I'm dosed up with cocodamol and every area. But anyway, I will try to stay awake. Let's move on to some matches. Sean, I always like to listen to the comments, but this week we've got the Olympics going on. We've obviously got the tournament in Washington as well. The conditions are very, very hot as well. You touched on it there, Sean. It's very different conditions in Paris, what we were at the start of the week now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's 35 today. Very, very hot indeed. Hardly a breath of wind either. Not much of a wind at all, so very hot conditions out there for the players. Thunderstorms expected at some point, but I don't think the weather's going to break much, really. It's still going to be 30 degrees by Wednesday afternoon when these matches that we're about to talk about take place. So very hot conditions. It as I said, that there's slightly different conditions to the French Open. Obviously best of 3, best of 5, that's obvious, but they're using Dunlop balls here rather than the Wilson Roland Garros ones they use at the French Open, because this is an ITF event. It's sanctioned differently, and the deals are done differently, and they're using Dunlop balls. I'm not sure which Dunlop ones they are. I tried to have a look on Getty Images, but it just said Dunlop Paris 2024. So I don't know what specific brand of Dunlop ones they are, but they're certainly lighter. The players, Humbert said they were lighter, suits his game more. Medvedev said they were lighter, better suited to his game as well, which is good news for us. We had him on the outrights, haven't we? So slightly different conditions, and obviously a lot quicker. When the sun bakes these courts at Roland Garros, they're pretty quick. And as usual, it's not been a great one for underdogs. It's a bit like a mini French Open, this, in terms of hardly any underdogs winning. Only 8 out of the first 40 underdogs won, which is 20%, which is the same mark as the last Olympics. There's only 20% in the last Olympics as well. So not good for underdog backers. And I don't think we're going to get any underdogs today either. I think the first 4 or 5 favourites have come in. So it's just like the French Open, really, in terms of all the favourites are winning, although they are doing it in very testing conditions.
And we have a very heavy favourite. Let's discuss the first up is Carlos Alcaraz, the tournament favourite. He's against Roman Safiullin. Alcaraz is minus 3,335. So you're going to put $3,335 to win $100 by betting the Spaniard, the Wimbledon champion, and the French Open champion here. Roman Safiullin is 12-1 to win this match. The spread is 5.5, a monstrous 5.5. And even Alcaraz on the 5.5, giving up 5.5 is minus 165. Safiullin is plus 125, plus 5.5. The total is 18.5. I mean, very, very low.
Yep.
Under minus 107, over minus 122. Let's look at the head-to-head here. Now, Safiullin has beat Alcaraz in the only previous meeting very comfortably, 6-3, 6-4 in Paris. I know it's different conditions. It was in the indoor tournament in the Masters, but he won 6-3, 6-4. So he's going to have confidence. He beat Echeverry. He beat Tabilo. Straight sets, both of those 2 matches. Alcaraz is on this unbelievable winning run where the only loss he's had as against Jack Draper. I was just about to say Scott again. Jack Draper in Queen's Club. He's then obviously won Wimbledon, won the French Open, unbeaten here at the Olympics as well. But, I mean, I'm not saying that Safiullin is going to beat Carlos Alcaraz here, but 6.5 lines at minus 120 for Safiullin over a best of 3 sets, 18.5 total. I mean, this isn't going to be as straightforward as those odds suggest, surely. You
wouldn't have thought so. I mean, usually I wouldn't fancy Safiullin on clay, but as I said, this is quicker than Roland Garros, lighter balls, hot weather. So he can play his tennis here, his brand of tennis, first strike, see ball, hit ball. And if it comes off, it comes off with Safiullin. He's ripped through Tabilo and Echeverry already. And in those 2 matches, service points won and return points won a total of 115, and a service hold and break total of 126. These are sort of Nadal-esque numbers at Roland Garros. I know he's not going to keep them up, and I know that Echeverry was perhaps not fully fit, but he won 65% of his second serve points in those 2 matches. It's his Tabilo and Echeverry. It's not, it's not somebody who can't play on clay. These are 2 very, very, very capable clay quarters. Tabilo semi-finals in Rome. So the conditions are helping him, I think. He's able to play his first strike tennis. And Alcaraz has an injury doubt. I don't know whether people saw his match against Talon Griekspoor yesterday. He's played a lot of tennis and he seemed to have a problem with his right thigh, Alcaraz. I'll tell you what he said about it. He kind of brushed it off. He said, it's not a problem, not important. It's just a tennis player's life. Feeling a niggle. I'll see what the doctors say tomorrow. Yeah, we'll see what the doctors say. But he might be okay, but he's played a ton of tennis. He's won the French Open, Wimbledon. Now he's back again at the French Open. In that match Griekspoor played against Alcaraz, when Griekspoor decided to play, which was basically...
He's also got the doubles. He's also got the doubles here.
He has got the doubles as well. Yeah, he's not going to want to let Rafa down in what is highly likely to be Rafa's last performance, last appearance at the French Open at Roland Garros. So when Griekspoor played his natural game, i.e. aggressive, he matched Alcaraz, and he had a set point, I think, as well. So he could have taken that second set, Griekspoor, but in typical style, he didn't manage to do it. But it would have been interesting if he had, actually. We would have seen how fit Alcaraz was if it had gone to a third set. I mean, Safiullin is very hit and miss. We know that. That's why he's a plus $12 chance to win this match. But he's a very streaky player. When he finds form, and his confidence is up, he's hard to beat. I wouldn't normally fancy him on clay at all against Alcaraz, but this is different. These are lighter balls. It's quicker. He's not going to fear Alcaraz. He said he already beat him in Paris in straight sets. I know Alcaraz was below par. It was the end of the season. Yes, I get that. But the way that Safiullin plays can cause problems for anybody if he's on a good day, because he's so aggressive. It's not easy to handle. And I think these overs and totals lines are very cheap. The bet I'm going for here, you could choose any one of half a dozen, but the one I've plumped for is Safiullin to win over 6.5 games in this match at plus money, plus 114 with Bet Riv. He's got to win 7 games in the match. I think he can do that. There is a gamble with Safiullin. Sometimes he has an awful day and he can't find the court, but I'm happy to take a chance on this in these conditions. Question mark over Alcaraz. Safiullin on form, on fire, and in conditions that obviously suit his first strike game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to do here all the time. We know Carlos Alcaraz will probably win this match. He's minus 3.335.
You would think, yeah.
And he's that for a reason. He's a what's he, 4-time major champion now? He's a 2-time major champion in this tournament as well this year, Canada year. Safiullin is obviously a player who isn't proven on this surface, but his form coming into it is good. He's going to be confident. And with injury doubts as well, and at best of 3 sets, 6.5 spreads, 18.5 totals.
Any of those, the totals is cheap. I mean,
really, you can... really nice plays for Safiullin there.
I think you have to take a chance on Safiullin. I mean, he is mercurial. He might have an awful day, but when he's hitting the ball well, he does hit the ball well, and he will give it. He will give Alcaraz, take Alcaraz's time away and make life difficult for Alcaraz if he's on form. And I'm happy to take a chance that he's going to continue the form that he's shown.
Safiullin here, definitely a way to go. Head across to the BetRiz website, loads of different markets available on that match, lots of props, lots of specials, and the markets will be added as the day goes on. It'll be an early start for you stateside. I think they're starting around about 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock tomorrow, which will be, 7 a.m. Stateside, and it's getting to the business end of the tournament over in the Olympics, through to the last 16. We're going to talk about one other match. We've also got Casper Ruud in action against Cerundolo, which is an interesting match, very interesting match. Novak Djokovic in action as well. But head across to the BetRiz website to get the prices on those matches. But the next match we are going to discuss, and the final match at the Olympics, is the last 16 clash between Sebastian Baez, the number 12 seed, and Stefanos Tsitsipas, the number 8 seed. Tsitsipas leads 2-0 in the head-to-head record between the two of them. Decent clay record this year from Tsitsipas. I know he's had a very bad year, but his record on clay has been exceptional. 21 wins and 5 defeats. Sebastian Baez, we know he's a slugger. He likes it slow. I'm not quite sure if he's going to like the conditions here. Might be a little bit too quick for him on this surface, the Argentinian. But if we look at the odds, very, very heavily again in favour of Stefanos Tsitsipas, minus 455. Baez is plus 335. Spread is 4.5. Best of 3 sets, remember. Plus 4.5 for Baez is minus 124. Stefanos Tsitsipas minus 4.5, minus 106. In the total, obviously a lot higher than the Alcaraz match at 21.5, with over a marginal favourite at minus 117. Tsitsipas is a player that I like watching Tsitsipas. I think he's got so much potential to do well. I don't really trust him at minus 455. I don't really trust him at minus $5. But he's playing for his country. it might be a little bit of a less pressure on him to play for his country rather than to play for himself. Given the form he's at, he might find this quite enjoyable. And obviously, he's a good-looking man, and he's around them beach volleyball players. On the bounce back from Paolo Badosa.
When I looked on this matchup, that wasn't something that's immediately sprung to my mind. I must admit, is he not with her anymore? Is that not a thing anymore?
No, he's bounced back. You said to me that one player out of the relationship will always, whenever a relationship, one player will. Well, he's gone straight in, staying at the Olympic Village with all them, the Greek.
How long has this been a thing of the past? Quite a while, or what? I'm a bit out of touch here.
Oh, I don't really know yet. I've just seen. I think they said they're friends. They're friends.
Right.
Now,
okay.
But,
all right. Well, I'm not going to let that.
He's a good-looking lad around that Olympic Village. I don't think he's going to have any problems down there. And I think he's minus 455.
I mean, if you look at the career series between these two, it's a couple of matches in quick conditions on clay in Madrid altitude where it's quick, and at the Australian Open it's not slow there either. And Baez has been more than competitive. In Madrid, where they played on the clay in quick conditions, as I said, Baez actually won the service points, won and return points, won totals of that match by 101 to 99, but he lost the match. He only won 1 point fewer that day, Baez did, than Tsitsipas, and he won 74% of his second serve points, Baez. Tsitsipas only won 40%, so Baez was miles better from the back of the court, but Tsitsipas's bigger first serve was the difference, which it probably will be again today. But there's very, very little in that head-to-head. When they met on a unsuitably quick conditions for Baez, I mean, it's not. You could argue it's perhaps not ideal for Tsitsipas as well, but he's more than capable of playing on a reasonably placed hard court. Baez won 10% more second serve points that day as well at the Australian Open than Tsitsipas did. So over the course of their two meetings, he's been the better player, Baez, from the back of the court. It's just his lack of a potent first serve, Baez, that kind of holds him back, really. Certainly more than capable in neutral rallies of being at least, competitive, more than competitive in this one against Tsitsipas. If we look at the 2024 clay stats, there's nothing in this either. Main level on clay this year, Baez, service points won and return points won total of 104.4, Tsitsipas 104.8. So there's nothing in that. Slight advantage to Tsitsipas, less than half a point. So it's highly likely to be competitive. Tsitsipas's slightly bigger game will probably help him over the line, but he shouldn't really be this short. Minus 455. Not for me. So there's a few options for backing Baez here, or siding with Baez. Over 9.5 player games, 1.81, minus 123 with Bet Rivers is an interesting option. Set one overs is the big priced option if you fancy a punt on this, a big price. 3.7 plus 270 the price of Bet Rivers for over 10.5 games in set one. Both of their priors went over 10.5 games. I know they were in quick conditions in Australia and Madrid, but it's quick here with the light balls as well in Roland Garros. So that's something to think about as well. So I just think this price is a little skinny on Tsitsipas, and there's a few ways to decide with Baez. Just a lean on that one.
Yeah, lean for Sebastian Baez to beat Tsitsipas, minus 455 Tsitsipas. But on the stats between the two of them, nothing between the two of them, and no reason why the Greeks should be such a heavy favourite. Let's move on along to another tournament this week, the 500 event in Washington. Again, conditions are very hot, Sean.
They certainly are. I watched the match last night, all 3 hours of it with Borna Coric. We had him. He had 2 match points and 5 break points in the third set.
That was another thing that got me through the 7.5 hour delay.
God, that's painful. Should have won it in straight sets. He won the first set, 7-6.
Match point.
2 match points he had he was 4-2 up in the second set tiebreak. A couple of match points. One of them, Ruusuvuori saved with a really peculiar serve that kind of skidded off the court and went a bit strange. The second one, Coric just let himself down. He should have taken it, really. But he didn't. Went on to fail with 5 breakpoint chances. And at the end, at the last couple of points, Coric went to change his racket and couldn't get up again. Did you see that bit? When he changed his racket, bent over to pick his racket up, and his thigh muscle went into complete spasm, and the last 2 points of the game, he couldn't move. So it's very, very hot, very, very humid. Tough conditions for players. And they played on till about 2 o'clock in the morning last night as well with Opelka and Duckworth. You could have watched that if you wanted to stay up late. That was on a late one.
That was another one that would have.
Another one. He won the first set. Yeah, he won the first set 14-12 on a tiebreak. Ended up losing it half 2 in the morning. Anyway, very hot and humid all week. 32 degrees. Thunderstorms expected. Wednesday's weather 35. feels like 38 with the humidity, apparently. So tough conditions for the players in Washington, D.C.
And Ruusuvuori just come through that match against Coric, a match he shouldn't have won. The Finn, remember he's from Finland, playing in 36 degrees.
He looked dead in the third set.
Well, he's up against Mpetshi Perricard here, and when I saw you wanting to speak about this match, I automatically presumed you wanted to be with the Frenchman here.
I do.
I thought, well, the market doesn't want to be with it. The market wants to be with Ruusuvuori. I don't get this at all. Minus 127 for Ruusuvuori, and he's getting lower and lower and lower. And Mpetshi Perricard is plus 102, spread 1.5, minus 136 for the Frenchman, plus 106 for Ruusuvuori. Total very, very high, 24.5, given the serve, the big server from the French guy. They played once before, and it was Wimbledon. And Mpetshi Perricard won 3 sets to 1. A long match. There was a tie-break in one of the sets in the third set, 6-4 in the fourth, but he lost the first set. Ruusuvuori won the first set. But coming through that long match here, why does the market want to get with Ruusuvuori, John?
I don't know. I have no idea. Because he doesn't convince me at all, Ruusuvuori, against big servers. He's lost 11 of the last 13 matches he's played against the players in my database that have an average first serve speed of over 192 kph, which is roughly 120 mile an hour. So no sort of record against big servers. This particular big server, Mpetshi Perricard, beat him at Wimbledon, as you said. Ruusuvuori only created 1 breakpoint chance in 4 sets on the Mpetshi Perricard serve. Mpetshi Perricard won 84% of his first serve points compared to 68% for Ruusuvuori, so hugely more effective first serve. He actually was slightly better on second serve as well by a couple of points than Mpetshi Perricard. So the matchup doesn't look good for Ruusuvuori. He's going to be a little bit fatigued, as you said. I mean, he just doesn't handle big servers that well. I mean, Coric isn't the biggest server in the world, and he hit 21 aces against Ruusuvuori. And Ruusuvuori only created 2 breakpoint chances in the first 2.5 sets of that match against Coric. And Coric hit a ton of unforced errors. And he still should have won the match in straight sets, should Borna Coric, but obviously he didn't, as we know. I just feel like Mpetshi should be the favourite here. The only thing I can think of is obviously the Frenchman hasn't played since Wimbledon. Maybe some people know something that the general public don't about him. I can't see it being on the matchup. I can't see it being on the form that he showed against Coric, because it wasn't a great match. It was just survival of the fittest out there, and he should have lost it in straight sets. So I'm happy for this price to get bigger about the Frenchman. I mean, I'll take it. Plus 102 just feels like a bad matchup for Ruusuvuori to me.
I like Mpetshi Perricard to actually win the tournament. He was one of my leans to win the tournament. He's about 22 places higher in the world rankings than Ruusuvuori, 49 and 71. He come through qualifying in Wimbledon to reach the last 16, where he lost to an informed Musetti. The service should suit, the conditions should suit. Ruusuvuori coming through an absolute epic against Coric, where he's very lucky to be here. Exhaustion as well. Hot temperatures, plus 102. Mpetshi Perricard is a great bet as far as I'm concerned. And the market doesn't agree with me. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think you might get closer to plus 105, plus 110 come the start time of this match. But head across to the BetRivers website. You'll be able to find out all the time the match starts. I reckon this match will be around about 12 o'clock Eastern time. That's when the action starts. They haven't got the order of play yet, but Mpetshi Perricard up against Ruusuvuori. Mpetshi Perricard is the number 9 seed here. The final match we are going to discuss involves Alex Michelsen, the American, big serving American, against Mattia Bellucci, minus 205 for Michelsen. Bellucci plus 157, spread 1.5. Again, overs and unders are 23.5. Bellucci had a good win in the last round. He comes through against McDonald, 2 sets to love. He beat Riedi in the qualifying as well. Another big win for him as well. And obviously Michelsen, it's his first match here, but he did last time he played was in the final of Newport on grass. So changing from the conditions, there has been the money for Bellucci. A little bit of money around for Bellucci. Both of them have got a pretty identical record on the hard court surface this season. Bellucci is 11.9 and Michelsen is 11.7. Should the American be this heavy favourite, minus 205?
I think this is probably about the fatigue that must be affecting Bellucci. He must be absolutely shattered. He's played 8 matches and 20.5 sets in the last 10 days, plus a night of no sleep when he had to come from Atlanta to the qualifiers here in Washington, D.C. Didn't have any sleep at all, came straight onto the court and won. So he must be feeling it. And he's been playing in Atlanta and now Washington, D.C. when it's insanely hot and humid at both venues. So it wouldn't be any surprise if he didn't last the distance in this heat and humidity. It's got to catch up with him soon. This looks like one for a set one tiebreak to me. If you look at what Bellucci's done in 7 main level matches this season, at least one of them was on clay as well. 84% holds the serve, 78% first serve points won, only 33.6% return points won, and only 12.1% breaks of serve. So he's struggling to break, but is being very effective on his first serve. He's played a set one tiebreak in all 6 of his last 6 completed matches in Atlanta and Washington, D.C. So this is a guy that's ripe for tiebreaks and set one tiebreaks as well. Michelsen, similar-ish profile. Last 10 main level matches, 87% holds the serve and only 34.5% return points won. So I'm going to be brief on this one. Over 10.5 games. I saw the price earlier at plus 180. Over 10.5 games in set one.
What a cracking bet that is. I love this one.
I think that's got to be where you're looking here in these quick conditions. You might also be interested in 2-1 to Michelsen. I haven't got the price for that to hand, but that's a kind of an obvious bet. If this goes long, you would expect Bellucci to tail off, considering all the tennis that he's played recently. But yeah, I'd be going with the set one overs in this one.
Set one overs, a lovely nice price there, plus 180. Head across to they might have the price for the tiebreak as well, which might be interesting given the stats that Sean touched on there. The totals are 23.5 with over plus even money, plus 100. But it might be a better play to play that first set overs because fatigue may be a big part in that match. So they're the 4 matches we're going to discuss for tomorrow. 2 tournaments in the Olympic Games. Head across the BetRivers website. All the matches will be covered for you there. A nice early start for you in Paris. Stateside in Washington, we have some good matches as well. So really good tennis matches tomorrow. Sean, just give us your official picks.
Yep, hopefully I'll choose better than I did the other day in Atlanta when I didn't go for the plus 240 winner and I managed to pick 2 that lost from ahead. There you go, such is the break. So in Washington, D.C., Mpetshi Perricard to win, plus money against Ruusuvuori, nice plus 102. May get bigger, as you said. And in the Olympics, I'm taking a chance on Roman Safiullin. Over 6.5 player games in the match. We've got to win 7 games in the match. Plus 114 BetRivers against Alcaraz.
2 very, very nice plays. Very, very different markets. You will not find any bookmaker stateside with more betting markets on the tennis than BetRivers. Head across to the website now. Download the app. Make sure you have a bet. If you do bet, you can obviously bet live and watch live with BetRivers. And obviously follow our content at Because We Win on our social media on Twitter and also on Instagram. Download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, where we're now plus 2.43 units up for the year. Bad couple of days, but we're going to be bouncing back. The countdown to the US Open continues over the next few weeks, a month away now, and we'll have you covered here on YouTube on the Betting Weekly Studios. Thanks for all your comments. Thank you all new subscribers. Anything you want a question, any questions you have for us and you want answered, make sure you give us the questions and make sure you let us know and tell your friends as well to follow us for the best betting content on tennis you will find on YouTube. Sean, thank you very much for your time. Take care, my friend. Look after yourself. Thanks very much for watching. And we'll be back tomorrow and hopefully we cash some tickets today. Take care.